So we're gonna stick to what we said, but we're so glad for people who just joined. Please introduce yourself in the chat. Say where you're calling in from, something you're excited to learn about, a question you might have for our panelists today. All right, and I think we're right at 11 o'clock, so let's get to it.
Okay.
So before we start presenting our slides, I just quickly want our panel to introduce themselves and say a little bit about who they are. So I'll start. I'm Caroline from the SciStarter team. I'm really passionate about citizen science, and the best part of my job are presentations like this because I get to learn new things. And today I'm going to learn all about air quality and citizen science.
Okay, perfect. I am Angela Justamante. I am a biologist specialized in scientific communication, and I am part of Cost for Cloud communication team, which is one of the organizers. So I am really happy with this webinar because I'm going to learn as well a bit about citizen science and air quality monitor that I am not so expert. So that's all. Who wants to introduce?
Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. I'm electronic engineer and citizen science of air quality.
Great.
Okay, for my side. Okay, I am Antonio Venegas. I am from Colombia, but right now I am living in Berlin. My major topic is working with some devices with joined with mobile devices. I still working with a new version of the CanAirIO devices for air quality measures. It's my, yeah, okay.
Fantastic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Juan Carlos Pachon. I am a 51 years artisan and a citizen science. I work with CanAirIO, and my work is test the devices. Only I am a hobbyist.
That's awesome. And then Sonia.
I don't know if she can hear us.
Yes, Sonia.
Now, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Hi, hi. I'm Sonia. I'm from Barcelona. I am a biologist specialized in scientific communication. I'm passionate about citizen science, and I'm working with Angela in Cost for Cloud. So I'm very, very excited with this webinar because I think I love CanAirIO, so I think it would be great.
Great. All right, well, let's get to it. So we're going to kick things off with a live poll. We just want to learn a little bit more about you. So please tell us, who you are, and you don't have to be just one thing. So are you a citizen scientist? Are you a parent of an aspiring citizen scientist, an educator, part of a library staff, a researcher? Just let us know. Please vote. And for our friends tuning in on YouTube, unfortunately, you cannot participate in the polls, but feel free to leave notes for us in the YouTube comments, and we'll look for those after the recording. So it looks like quite a few folks have voted. We got a lot of citizen scientists here, a few educators, some parents, some researchers, so a pretty even spread of everybody. So I'll give you all one more chance to vote. So 3, 2, 1, last chance, and we're going to end the poll. So you all should be able to see the results on your screen. So we got about 60% citizen scientists. That's good. You're in the right place. For those of you who aren't citizen scientists yet, you're going to become one today. So you're also in the right place. Then we have one more poll question. We want to know, have you participated in a citizen science project before? And it's totally okay if you haven't. We just kind of want to get where you're at with this whole field. So for those of you who said you were citizen scientists already, I'm assuming the answer might be yes, but it's totally okay to say no. And it's okay not to be sure too, because after today, I think you'll have some clarity about the best way to get started. Oh my gosh, the results are coming in. Looks like almost over 70% of people have done projects before, which is awesome. And for those 26%, don't worry, you're in the right place. So last chance to vote. 3, 2, 1, and we will end the poll. And you all should be able to see the results on your screen.
Mhm.
All right. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with citizen science, one way we like to define it at SciStarter, and this definition comes from the Field Guide to Citizen Science, a book SciStarter's founder, Darlene Cavalier, published this year. Citizen science is a collaboration. So it's a relationship. It's not just contributing one way. You're able to turn your own curiosity to impact and investigate the things that matter to you with citizen science. So you're working with scientists and the research community to make a difference. So you may be a person who's curious, concerned, maybe you want to learn more about galaxies, maybe you're worried about the air quality in your neighborhood. You can address that with citizen science. And citizen science is as diverse as science itself. So I mentioned galaxies, right? It's everything from astronomy to air quality to zoology and in between. So with citizen science, you can get started at SciStarter. SciStarter is the connector between citizen scientists and the projects and events that need their help. And we also run a number of programs. You're actually participating in one right now. We do our webinar series and we work with amazing partners like our panelists on the line to provide these educational and get started materials. But we also run programs like Citizen Science Month, or the Girl Scouts Journey, education programs. We have a blog series and multimedia efforts. We recently partnered with Earth School to provide a citizen science quest to students worldwide, and look up Earth School through TED Education, the United Nations Environmental Program, if you want to learn more. And then the core of SciStarter is our project finder. So you can go to scistarter.org/finder, make a SciStarter account, and get started searching for projects and keeping track of those projects in your dashboard. So you could search for projects that you want to do outside. You could search for projects that would be appropriate for you to do with a child, to introduce them to citizen science. You can search for projects that are SciStarter affiliates, meaning that you're able to track the number and frequency of your contributions to those projects in your SciStarter dashboard and get credit for those projects in your dashboard. And we community that they really enjoy doing that, being able to do that level of tracking and assessment of everything they've done and contributed to the field of science. So we just urge you to get on SciStarter and start exploring. And we urge you to get involved with citizen science and using different citizen science tools. So you'll learn about how to do that today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it over to our other panelists.
Okay, so thank you very much, Caroline. It has been a pleasure to have organized this webinar with you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen to explain a bit more about Cost for Cloud. Do you see it?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So Cost for Cloud is a European project to boost citizen science technologies. Our aim is to create 10 technological services that improve citizen science observatories in terms of being able to exchange data, to share data, recognize the contribution of citizens. And once created, the services will be available in the European Open Science Landscape, EOSC. So one of our aims is as well facilitate the networking among observatories and so on. And the most important thing is that we have 9 citizen science platforms focused on biodiversity and environmental monitoring that will test the services that we will develop. Among them, we have CanAirIO, who is who are the panelists today, the speakers today. Okay, so throughout all the project, we will organize activities, we will organize more talks, we will disseminate all our results. So we invite you to follow us on social media. We have LinkedIn, we have Twitter, we have YouTube. So please follow us and share with us your opinion about the webinar on social media by adding the hashtag citizen observatories, hashtag air quality monitoring, and hashtag CanAirIO. So we can follow all of your comments and we can answer you. So thank you very much. I am finished. And Caroline will present our speakers.
Sounds good. I'll start sharing my screen again.
Okay.
And thank you again, everyone, for caring about this topic and wanting to learn how to get involved with air quality monitoring. So I'm going to present our agenda. So, of course, part 1, citizen science and air quality monitoring. That's why you're here. And this webinar is a little longer than usual, so we just wanted to flag that for you. It's 90 minutes. So please don't be afraid to utilize the recording afterward. We're streaming live on YouTube right now, so you can go to the SciStarter YouTube channel to find it. And so don't feel like you have to get everything in this particular meeting. You can come back and watch again later. You're also going to learn about CanAirIO itself, the story behind it, and why participatory science to monitor air quality matters. And so that's kind of the informational part. And then part 2 is let's roll up our sleeves and get working. It's about how to build the device at home. So how the sensor works as a fixed status station. So you'll learn a little bit of the back end of that. And then also how it works as a mobile station. So how to build it and how to use the mobile app. And of course, we have a feeling that you'll have questions because who doesn't learn without asking questions? So don't be afraid to utilize that chat box as we go and put your questions in there. We promise we'll get to all of them at the end. And we'll make sure to reserve time for that. So I'm going to introduce our speakers, our main speakers. You heard from the panel to get started, but so Daniel Bernal is going to be your guide to all of this. So he's an activist and expert, focuses on citizen science, air quality, and wetlands. And he's a member of different groups, including CanAirIO and other groups in Colombia and international organizations as well. And he's very focused on community growth, hardware, firmware development, networking, and activism. And if you want to find him on Twitter, you can see his handle down at the bottom of this slide, and also the handle for his organization, which is CanAirIO. And then our other speaker is Antonio Venegas. He's a systems engineer and an applications developer. And he's also very interested in air quality monitoring and citizen science. And he's an active member of free software communities. And he is also on the CanAirIO team. He's a co-founder, a developer, and he's currently working on the CanAirIO platform itself, the mobile application, the data cloud, and the firmware of the device. And he'll explain that to you during this presentation. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here and let you all take it away.
Okay, Daniel. Okay. First, we can share to you the.
You can see my screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
yep, we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we start with we have a small presentation about low cost sensors, and we start with this document from the European Commission. In what they explain what is a low cost sensor. In 2 minutes is not enough time, but if you read this document, is a very good document for understand what is a low sensor. For example, in our case, we use particulate matter sensor. If you see this picture, that is a big box. It's a traditional sensor that maybe cost, I don't know, maybe $30,000 or maybe $100,000. Now the technology of lasers and low-cost sensors, we have, for example, in this other page, and a list of particular matter sensors that are low cost. We use at the beginning this sensor that is a Honeywell. that cost $20. And in Mauser and VGK, they cost in this time $40. But there are many options. Plant Tower, we use a sensor that is Panasonic, and the change from you have to the traditional sensors from example $10,000 to the change to have sensors for $30 is the approach that the citizen science made for air quality systems. There are many other sensors for gas and other pollutants, but in our case only use particulate matter. And the invitation is that you visit this, for example, this page, AQIICN. That is a Chinese organization that explains very well what is a low-cost sensor, and the brochure that I'll show at start from European Commission for the understanding what is important in low-cost sensor in the air quality monitoring. I stop share my screen. Go ahead, Antonio. Unmute your microphone. Antonio?
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I am Android developer, but some years ago, I living in Bogota. We can't many issues and many problems with public massive transportation. For the reasons we started the CanAirIO initiative. This is a citizen network for monitoring air quality network for citizen science users. The project started with some free communities around the Free Software Foundation, the Free Software initiative, like some free open source and free projects. The idea for the initiative is working with this kind of devices with very cheap devices, because the idea is the most important goal is the replication of the community, the using with these devices with some smartphone for reduce the cost of the fabrication of these devices. For the reasons we only have these kinds these kinds of sensor, and right now we have many users that was joined with that with our cloud and with our applications. The idea for today is show the progress of these types of sensor that we mentioned here, and no more. The idea is show the two devices for fixed station and mobile stations with smartphones. Is the idea for today for show for you. Okay.
Okay.
Antonio, I'm going to share the screen. Please stop the share. Yeah. Screen share. You see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. Thanks, Antonio. I'm going to explain some successful experience that we have with the use of CanAirIO sensors. I start with the sensor used in mobile mode. The internal battery allows it to be taken anywhere and connected to a cell phone by Bluetooth. We can record the value of particulate matter and the GPS coordinate of the place. On the left side of the graph of the screen, you can see the CanAirIO measurements. The first experience of this work started in Transmilenio, a massive transportation of Bogota, widely recognized in the world for moving large numbers of people on buses. In this time, we have this problem because Transmilenio is characterized for large number of people and which never taken care of the big problem of air quality within the system. As you can see in the photo, the buses emit big clouds of smoke due to a lousy maintenance and for using buses with useful life of 10 years, extended to 20. The first measure was made in August 2017, and they showed extremely high values that generate serious suspicion. Then, using citizen science, we made with the CanAirIO, and for example, in this case, I measure in the bus at the station and a pedestrian bridge, and you can see the big difference in the measurements. Something was very wrong with this system of buses. Here we Antonio with the two sensors. We use the CanAirIO and a sensor used for scientific studies. Those track 8533 and they gave us higher values that is confirmed the problem of the system. For 2 years, a very strong work was done on social networks, especially Twitter, that caused awareness in the citizens of this terrible problem, and finally the academy in the year 2019, after confirming what we have shown with our citizens measurements. They published a widely recognized paper which concludes that a 70-minute Transmilenio trip is equivalent to inhale 1.2 times the maximum daily dose recommended by the World Health Organization. First, we show it, then the academy. This can be considered a successful exercise. The next, in this example, we convert a small version similar to the one that we are going to assemble next into a pollution watch to measure our bicycle routes and then mapping it. The travel shows an acceptable yellow color at the beginning, but then shows a harmful red according to the AQI scale. This information is valuable for our citizens and it allows to make decisions to take bicycle routes if the air quality is poor in a trace, about an avenue, etc. Other examples of successful cases we are using for CanAirIO fixed or static mode, a sensor that is placed in a certain place, measuring like a traditional station, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This sensor, that is the example, is located in a neighborhood close to the Doña Juana sanitary landfill in Bogota. The residents have serious respiratory problems as a neighborhood of a landfill, but odors and gases should be the culprit. 7,000 tons of garbage was disposed every day in this landfill. The red mountain that you see in the picture is the landfill. But when we place in a CanAirIO, they realized that the very high measured values of PM2.5 that is not logically that they occur in the landfill. This map at the right is Bogota, and you see many sensors. The majority is in yellow and green, shows good and acceptable air. But at the station in Mochuelo, that is low, shows brown, that is dangerous to health, the highest level of danger. The graph on the left side shows the measurements on our website and shows the values of 900, 800, an average of 500 for 2 hours a day only. The rest of the data measured is well. Investigation shows that neighborhood brickyards that illegally catch fire at night and seriously affect their air quality. At least for now, they know who to blame for the high concentrations of particulate matter and their illnesses from this cause. This is the map, the brickyards, the sensor, and the landfill. And finally, we show the 16 fixed online sensors through our city, Bogota. Traditional station type can be done in any city in the world with the tools of CanAirIO. When the official network of Bogota at the left have problems and don't transmit any data, we are there. Information that is very important for citizens. If your city, for example, does not have official monitoring, you can do it. If it already has, you can compare, learn about it, and have for your neighborhood. With this, we move to the second part of the workshop, sensor assembly. I use my screen now, and we use the guide that is published on SciStarter.io that shows how to build a low-cost air quality sensor with CanAirIO. We are in the version 2.1. To achieve the assembly of the sensor, the first part we see the hardware components, things that used in the project. For example, if you want to buy the Panasonic sensor, to push this button, and you see the distribution that is made for Mouser and DGK in the United States, also for Latin America and Europe. For example, other part, ESP32 main board. This goes to AliExpress. AliExpress is a widely recognized distributor. They come from China, and the rest parts of the hardware can be bought in AliExpress. We use the variety is important. Part of the sensor can be found in AliExpress, but also we recommended searching in your local country because the shipping could take 2 or 3 months. Next, you have to use the CanAirIO app that is in Google. This is the CanAirIO app. And for the burning of the firmware in the microcontroller, we use Platformio or Expressive. And I show next what is this. Story. When other materials are soldering iron and thin solder. With this guide, you'll be able to build a device to measure air quality by using a Panasonic sensor, which measures particular material, and sharing your instrument via your phone with the CanAirIO app or your Wi-Fi. This is the materials that we explained. And one important thing is that you can use this battery which have 10 millimeters, 34 and 50, or use a smaller battery. Well, we start with the video. I play the video and share what is the. Yeah, I'm going to explain step by step. You open the box. It's an OLED board. Oh. And you put you on the screen. You turn it over to able to welding on top. First, you test the temperature of the welding iron with the thin solder. We start, then place the soldering iron first, and then the thin soldering. Always first heating with the soldering iron, and then put the thin solder. Yeah. It's a step by step. Yeah. And then put the ESP32 board and take care of the position of the board. If you put it wrong, it's very difficult to desoldering the board. Yes, you solder, and it's very easy. Now then the other side. Yeah, we finished this part. Next, cut the leftovers. Be careful with the leftovers that can be expelling when cutting. You have to protect. Now you are going to build an adapter for the battery. Excuse me, for the sensor, and we connect the cable. The cables in the booster, and you solder. The black in the ground and the red in the 5 volts. Now we put additional wires to the board, orange and white, and go to the booster in the in plus and in minus. Then we connect and solder the blue wire to the board. Connect the cable that comes with the Panasonic sensor. And now you're going to build an adapter for the battery, because the battery comes with only the cable wire. And we need it to connect to the ESP32 port. It's easy. And you add the head shrink tubing and heat with the soldering iron. Now connect the battery to the board. Yeah, we finished and make a great job. Some special details are explained in the guide. And optional, you can put temperature and humidity sensors to validate the values of the particulate matter sensor. It's optional, and you only have to wire these 2 additional cables to the sensor that you use. That is AM2320. And it's important because when you place a fixed station mode that reports 24 hours a day to a website, and it's important to make this validation. Now the sensor is already prepared to burn or program the firmware. There are 2 options: Platformio, that is explained for every operative system, or the expressive software for Windows. This is a complete guide for Platformio. Step by step is a little bit complicated, but to people who is familiarized with Linux, is easy. When you finish, the result is an emoticon in the screen and the value of the PM in the screen. The other option is for Windows, only for Windows, and it's burning it with software development by the Expressive Enterprise. There is a complete video that explains step by step how to Windows programming, and I put a little bit but it's very easy, like the video explains. It's the same structure for the past video. And if you follow these instructions, you made it. Or, for example, are other step-by-step guide next. Now I'm going to show how the sensor is assembled inside the box. This is the boot parts. If this is done with the file attached, a Bosch Panasonic sensor 1 unit, and I designed to make it a lot small, but there is other models that are publishing soon. A laser cutting machine cut all the parts in wood for you. We have to be careful with the parts. You saw it, what the assembly, part by part. Yeah, we made the box. Now we put the electronics and organize the electronic parts: first sensor, battery, and board. It's very easy. I'll show you. Yeah. Next, we put an adapter for the screen to go inside the box. Now we put a large wood rectangle in between the screen and the battery. Now place the electronics inside the box. We have to be careful with the screen because it is fragile, not to press it too much. And finally, we put the wood rectangle behind the sensor so these don't move, and put the cover. Adjust everything and ready. Turn off the switch that is on the front upper, and we have our sensor functional working. Here I test with an incense to see if the value rises. And indeed they rise. We have finished. Great job. Now there are 2 other videos and more information that explain how to use the CanAirIO app, how to connect the sensor to the app. These videos are in Spanish but have English subtitles and shows how to use the CanAirIO app step by step, and how to connect via Wi-Fi as static or fixed sensor. The videos are the same, very easy. Here I use an old model of sensor, but it's the same with the new one. We turn on and open the application step by step, and you saw the value of particulate matter in your screen, and then we can record the value that is stored in your phone, or maybe you can share with the community with this button. The next video is for static station mode. It's the same. Here we explain step by step what information do you have to put in the application. And the video is large because it's a more complex process. but it's the same. And if you have, if you made the last video, it's the same. Then if you have to device like a fixed station, the battery only works about 6 hours or 4 hours, and then you have to connect it to external power source all the time. Last recommendation is charging the battery to full when the sensor is new. And well, this is have to finish the sensor assembly. These are the schematics for the box, for example. I'm going to show. For example, this is the file for the laser cut boot. And well, this is, I have finished the sensor assembly. Now Antonio goes to show our latest version of CanAirIO. Stop share and go ahead, Antonio.
Okay. Un moment.
And everyone, please don't forget to utilize that chat box. We've been recording all the questions we've been getting as we go, so don't be afraid to put your questions in. We'll get to all of them at the end.
Okay. Okay. First, let me show to us the exploration of the different devices, because the CanAirIO is a continued evaluation of researching some solution from many sellers like AliExpress and other sellers like CD Studio and others sellers, because the idea is the main goal is the replication, the easy replication from the community of these sensors. Right now, in my screen, I show a little evolution of these sensors. The first sensors that we had with using some a sensor for wash like this, but right now we have different kinds of sensors. With some workshops with many people, we have some feedback from many kind of people, that journalists and some electronics developers and some software developer, and also activists from Colombia, from and other countries. In conclusion, the idea is working in the goal of the get a easy sensor for the people. The major goals for us is maybe produce a tiny sensor for us, like this. This is a Bosch sensor, because the idea maybe is working on a smartwatch or a smart pulse for the people, for measure the air quality in the cities when they may be walking, or maybe go in the transportation or another situation. Also the fixed station, like solar stations, another kind of fixed station for outdoors in the house, or for with panels solars for improve the power consumption. For these reasons, we looking up for a small device for these kinds of situations for the people. The last version is the next. Let me show. Is is an optional version with a case in 3D print. The idea maybe is working on that, but we know that maybe that's expensive for some people. But the idea maybe is an alternative for the current device. This is aspiration because right now this sensor is the status is in progress. The status is in continuous testing because we have some issues for release a complete guide for all community. The idea is working on that, but we are already near to the new version of this version. In this version, we have a better main board because the consumption is very low, and maybe for this reason the people using that for like a purse, like a gadget for your bag or your bike or your for clothes, maybe for wear the sensor in the body, maybe. And let me show the final results of this kind of sensor. The screen is in colors. The idea is show the pollution with different kinds of representation, like emoticons, and also colors for show the pollution's levels, for communicate in good, improve the communication to the user with the colors or emoticons is the idea. All devices in CanAirIO are open source, and all software that we have is open source, and the last version is published in GitHub. You can't download the last version of this sensor in GitHub, and the flow of the compiling and installing the firmware is a little bit similar to the sensor that Daniel mentioned. Also, we have the old 3D models published in Thingiverse. If you can't build the case from a 3D printer, you can download the old models here. And the idea is maybe in 2 or 3 weeks release a new guide of this kind of sensor. For other side, in this version, we can add 2 kinds of devices. The Panasonic sensor, also like the version 2.1, and also the Bosch sensors. But the Bosch sensor is optional. The sensors measures the resistance of the air and some quality sensor indicator for indoors. Maybe you can use that, but it's optional. And the another main components is the same sensor, Panasonic sensor for particulate matter. We have some improvements of the consumption because with this kind with this prototype we can't disable the main sensor for improve the consumption. The idea is that maybe the sensor have some kinds of power management. The idea is maybe suspend old sensor or hibernate old sensor, and each kind of period of time it wake up and maybe get new measures for publishing in our cloud. And the current variables right now is published in InfluxDB database with visualization with Grafana. All sources open. You can deploy a version in our PC or in our server, or maybe in another instance of in Amazon or Google, and you can upload all data from your sensor to this kind of database, because CanAirIO is open in these settings. You can't use in any instance for publish your data, or using the CanAirIO cloud is the idea, no? The last sensor, the last version of the sensor has different units like pressure and humidity also, but the different unit is the gas resistance for IoT for indoors, and also the particulate matter has 2 units more, the PM1 and PM10. And no more from my side. Maybe we can go to the questions. I don't know.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. So we have some questions to get us started. And as you all hear these questions, feel free to chime in with additional ones in the chat box. So I think we'll start with this one. It's question for Antonio and Daniel. How much has your approach in this project been actively informed by frugal innovation thinking?
What? Maybe can you repeat, please?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a question for Antonio and Daniel. They want to know, how much has your approach in this project been actively informed by frugal innovation thinking? So if there's I'm not quite sure what frugal innovation is. Do you all know?
Frugal innovation thinking, I don't know what is, but I think maybe is the citizen science, the new approach to the experience of people. And if this is the answer, I think that yeah, we have to have experience in the air quality monitoring, but not for the academy, not for the papers. It's because our experience, and I think that this is the big goal of the citizen science: how to normal citizen without knowledge how to approach to a big technical problem like, or a big technical issue like the air quality.
That's a great answer. Do any of the other panelists want to chime in on that? So do you have any perspectives on the idea of frugal innovation and the work you all do?
This is a new expression, frugal innovation.
See, yeah, it's very, very wide for me. My English is very bad, but frugal innovation. Okay.
Like the idea of making something really cool, but not costing very much, which I think it applies here. I mean, you're making something that's valuable for people that won't break the bank.
Yeah, okay.
Another question we had is, do you have a recommended age level? So what age do you think kids could make these, or do you think they'd need parents with them? What ages do you think could be part of this activity?
Yeah, in the evolution of the sensors, we try to reduce the wires and the some difficult flows in the fabrication of the sensor, but I don't know, maybe for a child with a parent, maybe is better, because sometimes it's not easy, no? Yeah, because maybe you need a practice of the joints with the metals is a little bit difficult for maybe for a child, and the idea is working in a better joints, maybe only joints or only a kit for join the parts without any with any wires that maybe this is the idea. No, I don't know. Maybe Daniel, what do you think about it?
I think that because the use of the soldering iron and the thin solder, you have to take care because it's very hot. It's very heat, and but for the use of the sensor, anyone could use it. A boy, an adult. But for the making process of the sensor, I think that maybe we have to take care with kids.
We have, now we have a project in a public school in 9th grade. The childs are maybe 12, 10 years, and uses the CanAirIO to measure air quality and communicate to the other students inside the school the air quality. It's too difficult to build the CanAirIO, but it's too easy to use it for take decision of what air quality I breathe. And we have childs using CanAirIOs right now.
Okay.
Great. So I think that answers that question. And if anyone else has more questions about that, please don't be afraid to ask. Another question we got was, we talk about data, but is there any specific reason, except for comparison, for air pollution measurements on mountains? Are these measurements more useful in cities? So basically they're asking, where should we make these measurements? Should they be in the mountains? Should they be on cities? What's the best place?
I think that is a great question because the particulate matter is very used in cities, not in landfills, not in mountains like the person that answered. But I take an example of Colombia. We think that only the cities are polluted, but we have a season with wildfires, very big wildfires in Venezuela and one part of Colombia that is called Los Llanos. And these places supposedly have good air quality all time, but in this season the air quality is very bad, and this is an example of it's good to measure in sites that we think that is very cleaner, but maybe we have some information in 1 month of the year or at certain time that is not good. The air quality monitoring is going to the cities, to other sites because this situation.
I think that the best place to use the CanAirIO is in the cities, because air quality and the pollution is the first health problem right now in the world. The pollution is the first reason to death in the world. And right now with the pandemic and the COVID-19, have some information about the link between contamination, the air pollution, and the easy spread of the virus. And it's important to know how quality air we are breathing.
Yeah.
Great. Another question we received is, how accurate are these low-cost sensors? Has there been comparison testing with more advanced sensors that groups like the EPA in the United States might use? So basically, how accurate are the sensors?
This
That's
is
a
the
good question.
principal question every time we talk about do-it-yourself air quality sensor is the accuracy. We have now a sensor that have an accuracy of 15%. That is important because we have a measure of the tendency. If you translate the concentration of the PM2.5 to in air quality index, the index is green, orange, or yellow. You have an idea what type or what type of air you breathe. It's not a precision instrument, but is a useful instrument to know how is the air we breathe.
I take an example for that. For example, you have a telescope. You can buy a telescope for $100, and you can see the moon. Low resolution, but you can see the moon and other stars. But if you buy a telescope for $100,000, you can see the more stars, more details, but the low price telescope have the same job. If you talk about the API, one moment, the EPA sensors, in CanAirIO, we make an experiment that is put on a CanAirIO and a sensor used for paper, for academics, that is the DOSTRAC 8533. The data is very good, and the conclusion is that the sensor that we have CanAirIO could be modeling by the other sensors, but if the person answered that if this sensor have the APA or the other standards, no, they don't have. These sensors are for more that show tendencies, are not for exactly the value of particulate matter.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yes. Also, I share the conclusion of this experiment that Daniel mentioned. The specialist in data compare the two kinds of sensors, a high sensor versus our sensor with a Honeywell, and the approximation and the results is very good for us because is very near to the expensive sensor. Yeah. in Jupyter, you can't see the data and the results of and the details of this explanation.
Yeah.
Got it. And we'll include this link, everyone, in the follow-up notes when we email it to everyone who registered. So you all be able to review that later on.
Yeah.
Another question we just received is, do you have an example of how these tools had an impact in people's life?
Yeah, it's in the beginning I explained some cases of successful experience with CanAirIO. I think that the most valuable experience is the landfill in Bogota, because the people of this neighborhood is very affected by the landfill, but they don't know that there are other sources of contamination. And with this information, they took many procedures to close that other source of contamination. And there are many others experience, but for example, in other places of Colombia. But I think that the most important thing is that you have air quality information in any place, in your home, in your bike, in your car, that you don't have, and it's very easy to understand. There is no big technical requirements for understand the information that is shown in a screen with emoticon that is happy, that is ugly. It's very easy, and I think that is the most successful experience.
Yeah, maybe another experience that we have is that we have some response from the politicians in Colombia. Some movements from activists like Daniel and other people that fight for the rights maybe changing in the future. Maybe these actions produce some change in the political decisions or from the government, maybe in the mayor of the cities. Maybe this is another good conclusion of this kind of experiments with citizen science information for the people, no?
Yeah.
Great. So related to that, someone said, have you been able to share these results with environmental authorities? And if so, what did they say about it? So have you shared this with any environmental government authorities or just people who are in leadership positions in this area?
Caroline, just before this webinar, we are talking with the ambiental authority in our city, Bogota. We have the idea of start to have measure air quality in the bicycle roads in the city, because with the COVID-19 we have to go to the work at the bicycle, and we need to know what the kind of air we are breathing. And we're talking about with the authority, we start to a project to have data of air quality inside the city and the user of bicycles.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. This is an example of how the citizens can compare the data and their ideas with the government. For example, like Juan Carlos said, if you in this COVID season, we have to increase the use of bicycles, but I think non-government on the world is prepared. The citizens can make this type of sensors, local sensors, and they give the information to the other people, like we make in CanAirIO, and you don't have to build a very high quality sensor. No, with citizen science, you make a low cost sensor, and the information is for you or for your friends, or you publish in Twitter, but you don't have to have the the scientific study to publish that maybe have take 2 years or 1 year. This is an information that is quickly, that is online on the social networks, and it's very easy to achieve.
That's great. So we have one more question, and everyone feel free to add any additional questions you have as we answer this next one. But this is a question that actually came in before the webinar via email. So someone asked, if a sensor has outdoor air flowing through it, how do you prevent spiders and insects from entering it, which would likely severely affect the readings? So they want to know, how do you deal with spiders and insects with the sensors?
I don't know. In my case, I have a sensor, I think 3 months on the outside, and there is no spiders, but the inlet and outlet of the air is very small, and at this time we don't have this problem, but it's interesting. I don't think in this situation.
In Bogota, we don't have too many insects in the ambient, but this is a good question for a person that live in more warm cities, and we have this question for the next design. What about with insects don't affect the CanAirIO measures?
I'll let you all know. I'll make my own. I'm in Florida and we have lots of insects. There's no shortage. So we'll see what happens. Looks like another question came in. Someone asked, they put a link in the question box. I'm going to go ahead and copy it and put it in the chat box as well, so you all can see it too. But they said this write-up, it's on the thingiverse.com, shows Panasonic and Bosch sensors. Can you help me understand why both are being used?
Yeah, the more important thing is because we need the measure of the humidity variable, because after 95% the measures for the pollutions from PM sensor it may be bad. The idea is the more important measure is the humidity. But with a Bosch sensor, we have another air quality indicator for indoors. But right now, we're looking we're researching about these sensor, these kinds of box sensors, because the box is a different measure than the particle sensor with a laser. They're using another technology different to the laser. With a diffraction, the Panasonic sensors take the measures for show us, but the Bosch sensor is very different. the idea is working in that. Maybe research the difference in these kind of sensors for maybe have options for the people. But right now, the more important conclusion is like we are researching that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Any last minute questions from the audience? And while we wait on those, for our panelists, do you have any closing messages for us that you want people to remember?
Who start? I start with the next message. We have sensor, for example, in Houston, Texas. We have another sensor in Mexico, in Mexico and Berlin, and other cities. It's an invitation for any people that make the sensor. It's very easy, and the information that gives the sensor is for you. It's an important matter because the air quality affects direct our health, and in the season of COVID, the air quality is a very important issue because it is in a study, but the conclusion is that a city with a bad air quality have more COVID cases, and if you breathe a bad air quality, you have many disadvantages for the respiratory diseases like the COVID.
I have two sensors, one outside of my house, one inside of my house, and I have information of what type of air I breathe. If you boil a CanAirIO, or if you boil anything dual serve air quality sensor, you can see what kind of air you breathe. You can see the water quality, you can smell it, you can see it, but the air quality, you have no information what about the air quality. A CanAirIO can help you to see what air quality you breathe.
Thank you. Any other thoughts from folks before we all go? And if not, I'm going to quickly, as you all kind of exit for the day, don't forget to make a sensor. I just wanted to show you our SciStarter tools database. If you have citizen science tools that you think people could benefit from, feel free to add them to the database. And you can see our latest addition was our friends at CanAirIO added the low cost air quality sensor. So, you know, if we're going to send out a bunch of links to you all, including the recording of this webinar afterward. But, you know, if you're thinking, I don't know where to find this, you can always go to SciStarter and search on tools, and you can find the tool page here for the low quality air quality sensor. I mean, the high quality, low cost air quality sensor, lots of words there. But thank you so much, everyone, for doing this. We really appreciate it. And thank you especially to our panel for educating us. We have another version of this webinar in Spanish at 1 o'clock Eastern, so in about 40 minutes. So for my panelists, I'll see you over there. I think you all have the link for the Spanish language webinar. So yeah, thank you everybody, and thank you to our attendees. We're looking forward to getting you involved in air quality monitoring. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Caroline.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.